there, I'm Nova, a graphic designer and illustrator. Recently, a few people have been asking me how I draw hands, so I decided to make this tutorial. I'll be discussing references, building the hands out of shapes, different shapes of nails, and how I render hands. For this tutorial, I do recommend following along with me traditionally or digitally. The steps can be applied to any reference of a hand, no matter the pose. So please find a reference you'd like to use. References are how we learn. To find a reference, you can use Pinterest, pictures you've taken, your own hands, anything like that. Though I'd suggest a still image for this tutorial. Building the hand. Just like constructing a building, it's important to have a foundation in drawing. This skeleton or armature can be built out of simple shapes like circles and squares and lines. We're actually going to start off with a circle. Then let's add a line indicating the direction of the wrist. This is important so you can judge proportions between the arm versus the hand and fingers. Your page should have what looks like a big lollipop. Next, draw a box over the circle. This represents the entire area of the palm, and we'll use it to build the fingers. And now it's time to add even more circles! These circles are the joints between finger and palm. The joint for the thumb, depending on your angle, should live outside the box, and the joints for the rest of the fingers should line up on top of your box. Now, this is where the symbol is going to look complicated, but it's also where the hand emerges. We're going to add lines to represent the fingers. These lines go in the middle of the finger like the bone. To remind yourself where the joints are, you can draw a small circle where they bend. Make sure you get the step to a happy place for you. Really take a good look at your reference before moving on. We're now going to encase the bones. Again, depending on the pose and perspective, this might be different, but generally, the line should split the finger in half. I like to stylize my fingers by accentuating the knuckles, so it ends up more of a wavy shape than something like a hot dog. Physically, my fingers in real life stick up at the end, so I also add that, along with separating the pinky from the rest of the fingers. Just like this, you also can step away from your reference temporarily and stylize elements that you feel would make this piece more personalized. At this point, all the work you just did to build a hand up is going to go away. If you're following along traditionally, please erase your armature. If you're following along digitally, you can either go in and erase your armature or create a new layer and trace over the final work you want to keep. We're going to now add any final details you'd like. This is how mine turned out. If you're not happy with yours, please remember we're always learning and moving forward. Let's quickly talk nails in relation to character design. The design choice of nails can actually say a lot about the character. Are they broken, chewed, immaculately taken care of? Does your character have long nails like monstrous claws? Are they elegantly manicured, rugged? With questions like these in mind for your character, I'll now share with you some common nail types and stylizations. No nails usually exist in a more cartoony oriented style. It looks completely normal in the world, but for a more realistic style, it could be jarring, or it could be a deliberate character choice. Natural style nails is usually the default. Most people and artists have natural nails, trimmed short as to not get in the way. Remember, nail polish or lack thereof can also tell you a lot about your character. Oval nails are a comfortable, longer version of natural nails. It has smooth shapes and is usually unobtrusive. Square nails, sharp, pointed edges, usually a medium to short length. Coffin nails, pinching in towards the top with a sudden stop. Medium to long, sometimes with a gothic or dramatic design. These ones are really fun to wear, but they get in the way a lot. Almond nails are coffin nails' cousin. Instead of the sharp edges, the nail tapers into a smaller rounded point. These nails are the ones that I usually go for. They're very pretty, but also manageable. Finally, stiletto-shaped nails. These ones are usually the longest and very versatile in character design. They can double as claws and are usually intricately decorated with lots of fun colors and maybe even charms. Now that you know to find a reference, use building blocks to shape the hand, and have character design elements in mind, I will show you how I render with color. Rendering hands tells a story in itself. I'm going to be demonstrating this using the same base with 3 different colorways. Try to see what I convey about each character based solely on the hand. Let me know what you think the story behind each one is. Once we have used our fundamentals to get the hand shape we want, and have done our personal style of line art, let's begin by filling in with a base color. I've done 2 human colors and a fantasy color. We're going to first bring out where the skin is thinner and therefore has a different tone. I place these parts on the knuckles and bony bits, like that one part of your wrist that sticks out that I don't know the name of. It's also important to place the tone on the fingertips. In my art style, I blend a lot, so I'm going to do that here. The next step we'll do is the highlights. These are affected by your light source, perhaps using a reference to know where to put your specific highlights. For demonstration purposes, I have the light source for my 3 hands coming from the right side. This would illuminate the back of the hands, down to the wrist and some of the fingers themselves. Then I'm going to blend out. We've done highlights, so now we must do shadow. Again, use your reference. For these hands, if the light is coming from the right, then the shadows will be on the left. Think of layers too. What's on top of what? Therefore, I put some shadow between the fingers, and then I'll blend out. Now that you have a base color, blush, highlights, and shadows, you can continue rendering and adding details as you wish. At the end of it all, this is how my rendered hands turned out. 3 different results from the same hand. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to me and for following along. Let me know if there's any other kind of tutorial you'd like me to make. If you use these techniques at all, please share what you have on the Ianova community tab. Speaking of, let's look at today's schedule. In no particular order, we have, of course, the next Frankenstein animatic, which is The Hands of Time, one of my favorite songs from the musical. A Golden Age Frankenstein analysis. My Vtuber debut, even though I used it for this video. How to make animatics for beginners. Universal Minecraft. And at 250 subscribers, I'll be drawing your OCs as a thank you. If you liked this video, you know what fun buttons to press, and I'll see you in another video. Goodbye!